So I'm going to try an ed puzzle with you guys, which I've never done before. So basically, you should have these notes. You're going to follow along with everything that I do, and then you guys can work at your own pace pretty much. So make sure you have these notes out in front of you, and everything that I write, make sure you write with me. So we're going to be starting chapter 2, which is all about fractions and decimals. The first section we're going to learn today is how to multiply fractions by fractions and fractions by whole numbers. So make sure you're filling this out with me. To multiply a fraction by a whole number, make the whole number an improper fraction. So make sure you write this with me by writing it over 1. So for example, if you have the number 17, it's a whole number and you want to write it as a fraction, all you do is write it as a fraction, a fraction over 1. So 17 over 1. And because 1 goes into 17 17 times, they are equivalent, which means they mean the same exact thing. So I want you to try these. All we're going to do is make these whole numbers into fractions. So all we're doing is writing them over 1. So 19 over 1, 4005 over 1, 871 over 1, and 4 over 1. Okay, so those are whole numbers that we've now made into improper fractions. To find the product, multiply the numerators. So numerator times numerator, and then multiply the denominators. So denominator times denominator. Remember, the numerator is the top of the fraction and the denominator is the bottom. Always put your answer in simplest form. So here's an example. 3/4 times 6. You have to make 6 a fraction. So I wrote it as 3/4 times 6 over 1. And then I did 3 times 6, which is 18, and 4 times 1, which is 4. So we want to simplify it, which means you make it into a mixed number. You've probably done this last year, but you divide the top number, the numerator, by the denominator. So 4 goes into 18 4 times, which is 16. And we'd have 2 left out of the 4. The denominator stays the same. And you could divide these both by 2, and you get 4 1/2. So I did 18 divided by 4. It goes in 4 times. There's 2 left over, and the denominator just stays the same. Okay? So flip over your notes. Oh, and I have the example here. So to multiply fractions by fractions, all you do is multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators and then simplify. So here's an example. 4/5 times 10 over 12. I did 4 times 10, which is 40, and 5 times 12, which is 60. And then I divided these both by 20, which is how I got 2/3. I'm going to show you a method that actually makes this way easier to do without having to do a lot of long division. It simplifies the problem before you even begin. It's called cross-canceling. Some of you might have learned this last year as the butterfly method. So what you do is you look diagonally across. I'm going to use the same problem that I just did up here. So 4/5 times 10 12. So you can write this with me. What you do is you look diagonally across and see if there's anything you could divide the two numbers by. So for 4 and 12, I can divide them both by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. So I cross it out and put a 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I cross it out and put a 3. Now I'm going to look the other way. I could divide 5 and 10 both by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now I multiply my new numerators and my new denominators. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. So I got the same exact answer that I got up here. Okay? I'm going to do some practice ones with you. I want you to do them on the bottom part of your notes. So let's take a look at this first one. We have 1/5 times 1/3. I'm going to check to see if I can cross cancel. There's nothing I could divide 1 and 5 both by to make them smaller. Look the other way. Again, nothing I could divide them both by. So I'm going to multiply right across. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 3, 15. So unlike adding, you do not need to have common denominators. It's way easier to multiply fractions than it is to add or subtract them. So I'm going to have you pause the video, try this one, write it on the back of your notes and try this one. So you're going to see if you can cross cancel, and then you're going to multiply across. So try that one. Okay, here's another one I'm going to try. I want to check to see if I can cross cancel. There's nothing I could divide these by. Look the other way, nothing I could divide them by, so multiply right across. 2 times 3 is 6, 7 times 5 is 35. It's in simplest form. I want you to pause the video and you write this one out in the back of your notes and try this one as well. Okay, let's try this one. I'm going to do this one, and then I have a couple for you to try. So I have 8/9 and 3/4. I'm going to check to see if I can cross cancel. Diagonally across, I have a 4 and an 8. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I divided them both by 4. Now I have 3 and 9. I'm going to see if I could divide them by anything. I could divide them both by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now I'm going to multiply my new numerators, my new denominators. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. Okay? Try another one. I have a 4 and I have a 10. I could divide these both by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now I have a 6 and a 15. I could divide them both by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now I'm going to multiply my new numerators and my new denominators. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 5 is 25. My answer is already in simplest form. So it's way easier to cross-cancel diagonally. I want you to pause and try this one. I want you to cross-cancel, see what you could divide them both by, see what you could divide these both by, and then multiply your numerators times your numerators, your denominators times your denominators. So you're going to pause and do this one out on your paper. Okay, let's try another one. I can divide these both by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. I could divide these both by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Multiply my new numerators. 1 times 1 is 1. And my new denominators, 5 times 3 is 15. Already puts it in simplest form. I'm going to have you pause the video and do all 4 of these on a piece of paper. Your answers need to be in simplest form. If you cross-cancel, that's the easiest way to do that. So pause and try those. And here's a word problem we can try. This is where you would apply this in the real world. It says you have 2/3 of a bag of flour. You use 3/4 of the flour to make empanada dough. How much of the entire bag do you use to make the dough? The keyword here is of. When you see the keyword of, that means multiply. So I'm going to do 2/3 times 3/4. I'm going to see if I can cross-cancel. I could divide these both by 2. And I could divide these both by 3. They're both going to become 1. Multiply my numerators, multiply my denominators. We used half of the bag. Okay? So you didn't have to do that one. You could just watch it. Now you try this one. Same exact thing. Your keyword is of. So you're basically going to multiply 5/8 times 3/10. Okay? So try that. That is going to be your last problem. Come show me when you're done with all of your work.